The new Code Geass Collector's Edition is an absolute embarrassment, and in today's video, I'm going to explain why you shouldn't purchase it and why its very existence pisses me off. Let's first go over what you get in this collection. Originally, I was going to do an unboxing for this, but this abomination isn't even worth a tax write-off. Also, while I break down why this collection is a complete dumpster fire, keep in mind, they've been working on this for years. Anyways, according to Crunchyroll's website, which by the way are the creators behind this, the collection contains the following. First, it has a certificate serving as a reminder that you made this terrible mistake. Then we have the cheap cardboard box that it comes in. At least the art and the layout is nice. The box also has magnetized flaps, allowing you to show off this terrible collection. And it's fun to open, I guess, and is obviously Code Geass themed. When it comes to the anime itself, it includes the Blu-ray versions of R1 and R2, Akito the Exiled, and the entire film tetralogy. AllTheAnime.com actually released a Blu-ray version of the films, including Resurrection, so I'm assuming this collection has the Blu-ray versions as well, and one thing to keep in mind is that they have one disc for all the films, so I assume they all must be Blu-rays. Then there's also the Lancelot Nightmare Frame USB key, that's just a normal 64 gig drive, okay? Followed by a silver Geass necklace. It also contains a magnetized chessboard, just like the one from the anime, complete with the same type of chess pieces. But on top of all this, you get 6 months free of Crunchyroll Premium and a $60 store discount. If this sounds underwhelming, don't worry, it gets even better. Let's get to the features from the discs.
Starting with
Picture Trauma episodes for R1 and R2, and R2 only has subtitles, it's not English dubbed like the R1 ones. Then we have the stage audio commentaries, voice actor interviews, textless opening songs, textless closing songs, audio commentary, final turn audio commentary cast side, final turn audio commentary staff side, extra flash Baba Theater Redux, which is an absolute embarrassment, the broadcast version of Next Turn 1 through 24, and from Illusion of the Resurrection, there's a casual conversation with Donald Schultz and Elizabeth Maxwell, visual commentary for that film, and commercials. Now, did you notice something odd about everything I just read? Well, it's exactly the same features as the original releases, so they just reprinted the same discs and combined them for this collection, an act of pure laziness. I'm glad Code Geass is getting the Skyrim or GTA 5 treatment, but in fairness, they did make a newer version of the case for the films because now it contains Resurrection. However, what boggles my mind is why they couldn't just release a separate case for Resurrection like how it was originally released. Besides that, there are no new features in this collection. This is why it's not worth it if you already own all these separate collections. In some ways, it's actually worse. For example, it doesn't even include the art cards that came with Akito, the original anime, and the Resurrection Blu-ray releases, or the nice art book that came in the Resurrection Special Edition release. I watched one video where the person said that the art on the box is hard to get, so why not just re-release those art cards, thus fixing the problem? And while this might not bother many of you, but this collection doesn't have the regular DVDs that the other collections came with. The reason why this bothers me so much is that playing Blu-rays on PC is an absolute nightmare, and sometimes the DVDs is all I want. So in retrospect, this is actually a downgrade from what we got before. It seems like the over-the-top packaging is compensating for the lack of new features. Now, the reason why I'm upset that this collection doesn't have any new features is because there are still plenty of Code Geass content that we still don't have that they could have added to this collection instead of working on the crappy box. For instance, did you know that Akito the Exiled has picture dramas, and yet they haven't officially translated or released it in the US? And the same goes for the other picture dramas from the original anime, including the Miraculous Birthday, the Miraculous Anniversary, and the Mask Event. Or what about the picture dramas from Resurrection? There's also that one picture drama from Oz of the Reflection. Thank goodness there's fan subs for these, but it shouldn't have to be that way. Anything else we don't have have in this collection? How about the audio dramas from R1 and R2? They still haven't released that to us outside of the Bandai collection for some reason, and that was only the audio dramas from R1. Is there a reason why they can't re-release the audio dramas from R1 and create like a pseudo picture drama and sub the audio dramas from R2 and include some art in the background as part of that packaging? I mean, they added English subtitles to the R2 picture dramas, so why not do this here? And while we're on the topic, I think it's amazing that the Bandai collection for Code Geass is still better than anything Funimation has released today, or now Crunchyroll. That collection had more enthusiasm behind it, both in the art, the presentation, the DVD menus, the DVD art themselves, and the features they gave you. Even the DVDs had more features than what Funimation gives you now. For example, in Turn 16, it has a translated version of the scrolling text that lists all the members of the UFN following its ratification. Originally in the anime, it was only in Japanese. It also has concept art. You can tell they actually gave a shit about making a good product. And the same could be said about the Japanese Blu-ray collections. What a piss poor job Funimation did after taking over. By the way, if you're curious, I did compare Bandai's Code Geass collection to Funimation's on an article on my blog, link in the description. Continuing on, the Bandai collection had the OST and the audio dramas plus the Code Geass manga. Why couldn't they do something similar for this collection and release and translate a manga that we don't have as part of this collection? I would love this treatment for the Oz of the Reflection manga, but even Lancelot and Gurren would be fine as well. Or they could just re-release that old manga too. And that'd be great since that manga's hard to find these days. Oh, and for some reason, they couldn't get the rights for anything I just mentioned, which is why they don't have any new features. Why not conduct new interviews with the voice actors or directors of the original anime, Akito, and so forth? That would be a nice retrospective. But no, it's just the same garbage. By comparison, you can just look at, say, something like Doctor Who, for example. They just announced the Blu-ray collection for Doctor Who Season 15, which is one from Tom Baker's era. That collection has brand new features, which is insane to me considering how old it is. And they do this with the other Blu-ray releases. These collections are in a normal box. There's no fluff like this crap, and instead, it's backloaded by the features. It just shows that the people behind this Code Geass collection are desperate for money, hoping to take advantage of people's nostalgia with this over-the-top packaging to compensate for the lack of any new features in the hopes to resell you something you probably already own. This always takes me back to those ridiculous comments made by Goro Taniguchi when he said they couldn't monetize Code Geass, which is why we don't get any new anime and instead get BS gacha games. Yet, if you check out their Twitter page, all they are doing is selling every cursed thing imaginable, including an art book for Gensari Code. I mean, the nerve of these people is just amazing. I know this is an English US only release, but the point still stands. Now let's go over the rest of this asinine collection. An overpriced chessboard. Who cares if it's the only one to be officially released? Chess pieces you could probably 3D print for much less, which I believe people have done already. The USB key is nice, but again, overpriced, as is the necklace. By the way, in my opinion, that necklace looks terrible, just saying. Now look, I'm a reasonable guy. I wouldn't mind purchasing the chessboard, but not for something that's over $500. Why not just release it separately, and the same with everything else in this collection? Considering the insulting garbage products they sell from this IP in the Crunchyroll store, this would be a nice change of pace. The Shirley and the Valletta models in particular are the most insulting.
Fuck off with that shit.
The art on this box is nice, but you could just find a version of these art pieces online and make your own posters for way less than this. You could probably even laminate it. I've seen people sell those custom posters at conventions, so it can't be too hard to make. Also, because this collection is so expensive, I would be hesitant to play with the chess set or even mess with the box at all. A box that'll probably break over time, something that wouldn't happen if it was a metallic case. But again, this is just a cheap cash grab, so what did you expect? I've also noticed that people handle this thing with gloves, and that's all you need to know. The most frustrating part about all these things is I don't think the fans even wanted this. You know what fans actually want? I don't know, brand new content? Anyways, then we gotta talk about the unnecessary Crunchyroll benefits. I don't want to pay for both an anime collection and a Crunchyroll subscription, thank you very much. You could have removed these benefits, reducing this by at least $120. I still wouldn't buy it, but at least it'd be under $500, and that's another thing I haven't touched on yet. This thing is overpriced as hell. $549? Are you serious? And probably more after taxes.
Tell him he's dreaming.
Especially since originally all the Blu-ray releases were not expensive to purchase. I believe they were under $50, and that even includes the special edition versions. Now today, because the Blu-ray versions are out of print, their price has gone up in the secondary market. But even today, you could still purchase everything aside from films 1 through 3 and only pay $340. You could theoretically find it even lower on eBay. That's not great either, and I imagine people will use the alternative option that stuff like this forces people to do. This does bring up an interesting point. Why couldn't they just release all the anime in one collection without the rest of this crap? My favorite example of this is the Lord of the Rings Extended Edition or the Game of Thrones Blu-ray collection. Just give us a simple collection of all 14 discs for $100 that includes everything that the other collections came with, including the art cards. That's an over 80% reduction of the original with none of the BS attached to it. This is a fair price considering there's nothing new in this collection and most fans just want this. You could also release more than 3,000 of these since the packaging wouldn't be as expensive and probably make more money over time. And on top of everything else I mentioned that's wrong with this collection, here's something else. This year, they are going to release Rosa of the Recapture, making this collection obsolete, which means it's already outdated. I get that they were working on this before, but it's still bad timing. There will inevitably be a Blu-ray release for Rosa of the Recapture, so that bites. This is a collection that no one asked for, brings nothing new to the table despite the numerous content that we still don't have, wrapped in the most ridiculous package I've ever seen. A package that is clearly compensating for the lack of new content. The fact that people actually praise this makes me wonder sometimes. I would be surprised if they sell all 3,000 copies, especially considering this came out in December of last year and they still haven't sold out.
This is an anime collector's dream.
You'd think so, but you'd be wrong.
Spoken by someone out of touch with reality, because this is a nightmare of a collection. A monument of everything that is wrong with how this IP is handled. The people behind this should be ashamed of themselves. We the fans deserve better than this garbage. Don't waste your money on this. The economy is not great these days, so instead spend it on things that actually matter. A limited edition collection shouldn't mean anything to anyone at this point. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video, which is going to be more of my traditional video essays, and this next one is going to be epic. Until then, check out this video right here.